Hi everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful May so far. This April planner update is coming out a little bit late because last week I was in Chicago for the Chicago Pen Show, and in this belated April update I will also include a little haul of the things that I got at the pen show. I think we have quite a bit to cover this time. As usual, I'm going to start off with the reading journal, which I had a pretty good reading month in April. I think I finished 2 books and I'm in the middle of reading 2 other books. I am still reading The Magus, and this one I'm taking it a little bit slower because I am reading this with a friend, so I'm just not going at whatever pace that I feel like. And as you can see, I still have not drawn in the cover yet. Hopefully by the next planner update I will have the cover drawn in. So I have a few pages left for that. And then one of the books that I finished was From Here to Eternity. I wrote this with my TWSBI Eco fine nib and Robert Oster Sydney Lavender, which is a beautiful purple. And I gave this book 3.5 stars. As you can see, I wrote quite a bit of notes for this one, and I found this book to be really interesting. It was basically about how different cultures treat the dead and how, like, for example, funerals and burials and cremations are treated from culture to culture. I gave this book 3.5 stars just because I didn't like the writing style as much. I felt like it was kind of like a blog post almost. Regardless, I still really enjoyed it and I learned a lot from it. The other book that I am currently actively reading is called An Immense World by Ed Young, and this book I am loving right now. It is another nonfiction book, and it is about the different senses of animals. Like, for example, the first chapter was about smell and taste, the second chapter was about light, and the third chapter is about color. The fourth one that I'm reading is about pain. I have a bunch of notes that I have not written down yet because when I was on my flight back from Chicago, I read through 2 of the chapters and I have a lot of notes from that, so I still have to fill that out. But yeah, as you can see from all of the notes that I've taken so far, I am finding this book to be really interesting, and it just makes me appreciate how incredible Earth is and like all of the inhabitants. I left 1, 2, 3 empty pages for this book, but I feel like that's not going to be enough. This final book that I have to talk about, which is another one that I finished, is called The Days of Abandonment. I have a very hard time saying this word for some reason. I don't know why I randomly picked up this book, but I really did enjoy it, and I think I gave this one 5 stars. I just haven't filled out the little stars yet. But yeah, this is basically a short little novel about a woman named Olga who was abandoned by her husband, and she was left with her 2 kids, and she basically goes down a mental spiral. I really enjoyed the writing and storytelling, and in some ways I do see myself in this character, so there is that personal connection, I suppose. Alright, so yeah, that is everything for my reading journal. I'm very pleased with myself by how much I read last month. I'm not so sure I will be able to keep it up for May, but we will see. Next up, I have my Commonplace journal, and I do believe I have a few entries to show as well. I think slightly more than usual. Okay, maybe not. So the first entry that I have is protein percent in flour and why it matters, and this was an article by King Arthur. I don't remember why I got interested in protein content, but yeah, I drew some fun diagrams over here, which I really like the look of. I also wrote some side notes about seitan. Then I have some random space stuff. I assume I was influenced by the launch and everything. I really like this little diagram that I drew. I used a bunch of different fountain pens and I drew a little happy face for Earth. And then I think I only have one other entry, which are notes about orca whales. I guess I was really interested in animals last month for some reason. But yeah, those were all of my entries. I don't know why I thought I had more than usual. 3 is not a lot. Next up, I have my Hobonichi Cousin, which is my health and fitness record keeper. I have not filled out the end of April and May yet, so I will have to do that soon. But yeah, this is the little plotted graph. Moving on to the weekly section. I think it was in April that I launched the Murky Pond Water ink. So all of the writing was done with the Pilot 74 fine nib and Murky Pond Water. And I think this ink matches this sticker set really well. This is a lavenders and lemons theme. Doodled a few things. This theme is based on the Q2 subscription theme. I'm trying out different art styles and I'm loving this like blobby lineless style recently. But yeah, I wanted to show you the days of the week headers at the top. I made little doodles of oranges, lemons, and little flowers, and I think it looks really cute. This was based on the 2023 July subscription, which is a secluded town. I stamped on this "You Are Doing Great" stamp. And I had a rest day. This is kind of gross, but because I run a lot and perhaps my sneakers aren't fitted perfectly, so because of the repeated trauma against my toenail, my big toe has been, let's just say it's been funky for the past like year, and I have been putting it off getting it checked out. And as always, I get to a point where it is unbearable before I seek help. So yeah, I'm pleased to say it has been drilled on this day, and I am doing much better now. Was that oversharing? I don't know. Anyways, moving on. As you can see, this is a different sort of week because I was traveling. I left on the 28th to go to the Chicago Pen Show, so didn't do any workouts. For the habit trackers, anything that I couldn't easily track while on vacation, I just drew an arrow and a little question mark. For example, the cups of coffee that I drink. Honestly, like on vacation, I either don't drink any because I don't have it like accessible, or I drink a lot because I go cafe hopping, so it's kind of hard to keep track. And then this is this current week. I came back on Monday, so I still kept Monday like out of routine, and then I just continued on with Tuesday. Here I'm using the Spring Critters 2.0 washi tape, which is coming out on a Saturday. And here I wrote and I put this like pimple sticker because my hives are, I think, back, which is not fun. It's starting to show up on my knees and legs again, and I have a feeling it is being triggered by the heat. It is starting to get warmer here, and I feel like that might be why. Anyways, let's move on to my Hobonichi Cousin. I just did the monthly spread this morning for May, which is a tulip fields theme, and I think it is very pretty. I really like tulips, and I think my dad just planted some tulips, so I'm excited for that. Oh wait, I think I was supposed to show my April spread. Yeah, this was April. Okay, let's move on to the weekly section. Again, I think this was a week that I launched the Murky Pond Water ink, so I did a matching spread in my Hobonichi Weeks and my Hobonichi Cousin. As always, I tend to not fill out Sundays sometimes just because I kind of lose the motivation on Sundays. Ooh, okay, a lot of matching spreads. This next week was lavenders and lemons in both of my planners. I really like how this looks, and I think I did a plan with me on this as well. This week, I don't really know what the theme is. It's kind of like black and white doodles, but with little pops of color. I think it looks pretty cool though. This was also a matching spread using the Secluded Town washi. This is really cool. So this was the week I went to the Chicago Pen Show, and because I was traveling, I decided to doodle this map on the top of the Hobonichi Cousin, and I don't know, sometimes I like it, other times I look at it and I feel like it's kind of ugly. I am glad that I tried something new though. And whenever I have a flight and there is like a time zone change, I usually draw a squiggly arrow sort of thing just to indicate that. I still need to fill out the rest of Sunday for this week as well. And then this is this current week. Again, I am releasing some new spring washi tapes on Saturday, and one of them is this funky spring patchwork washi, and I think it is so fun. Just a bunch of random colors and patterns. And yeah, again, I flew back on Monday, and even though I bought Wi-Fi on the flight, it was just terrible connection, so I didn't really get much done. Let's do the daily section now. Alright, so April 1st and 2nd, I used the Murky Pond Water ink, so this wasn't written with black as usual. I have been meaning to get like a mini oven for my countertop, and I got a mini, whatchamacallit, Wonder Oven from Our Place, and so far I'm loving it. Here I was doing some testing with the Sailor Dip pen. As you can see, I wasn't having a very good time. It was very inconsistent, but since then, if you saw my previous video, which is a haul, I got the ink reservoir feed thingy, and now it's so much better. I think I was really busy these few days, so I cut out the page in the middle, and I also cut out the headers. So I have April 3rd, 4th, and 5th all on one page. And on the 5th, we did a new release. I wrote down some good things. April 7th, I think I was doing like some sort of a flow chart. And oh, I was really excited because I got my own custom checkbook and it was pink. And I was very amused by that. I drew this USB and I wrote RIP because I accidentally ran my chair over a USB cable for my scanner and it flattened the little insert thingy. Thursday, it was also apparently a very impulsive day. Oh yes, I remember now. I just like had this impulse of wanting to go dinnerware shopping, like getting plates and bowls. So yeah, I finished up some work and I randomly just like went to this plaza thingy and I ended up buying a bunch of stuff from Winners. It was really weird. Okay, hello again. I had to take care of some issues with shipping and I got distracted, so I have returned a few hours later. Anyways, apparently on April 11th, I felt like a potato, classic. And in the evening, my friend and I, we watched Coherence, which was a really good film. If you like psychological thrillers, I would highly recommend this one. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, these were some pretty messy days, and that also accurately reflected my mindset, I suppose. And it certainly didn't help that I ran out of coffee on this day. I still remember I went downstairs as usual, opened up my cupboard and saw that I had no backup coffee, and I audibly made a gasp, which was kind of funny to think about. I think I placed a Sephora order on this day. And then these are a lot more colorful. This is again based off the Q2 subscription theme, which is called Good Afternoon, and I think it is so much fun. I love these little orange bullet points. Saturday, I was very stressed and I was just feeling oversaturated with so many things to do. So I just like did a brain dump of everything that I kind of have to do, and that was stressing me out. And in this column where I typically write down my to-do list as usual, I instead did like a sequential list of things that I had to do throughout the day. So this way I didn't really have to make a decision on what to do next. I even made notes of things that I could do like simultaneously. For example, I could finish drawing some diagrams while at the same time starting up laundry. And I know this level of planning could be over the top for some people, and typically it is over the top for me as well. But again, when I'm having a very busy day and I'm feeling just completely overwhelmed and oversaturated, this sort of thing really helps me. Here I made a list of everything that I ended up getting from the Sephora sale. Monday, I was just feeling very tired. Tuesday, this is when I got my jet pens order. And as I said earlier, the little black feed piece for my dip pen. Oh my gosh, here I have breeze on my butt cheeks. On this day, partway through my run, I realized that I put my gym shorts on backwards. I remember starting my run and I was like, why do I feel this like gentle breeze on my butt? Which like, you know, usually doesn't really happen. And as I just like continued on the run, I felt like something was off. And then the dreadful feeling set in that I was like, oh my gosh, I think I put my pants on backwards. So yeah, I pivoted and ran to the gym instead and did a change. And arguably the worst part is I did the same thing about a week later. I don't even know at this point. Anyways, Wednesday I had my podiatrist appointment where they shaved off part of my toenail, which was wonderful. Thursday was not a very good day. I did a deep clean because I just have been putting off some chores that I don't really enjoy doing. One of the chores was unclogging my shower drain and I literally threw up and that was not very fun. I also forgot my doctor's appointment for my skin issue, which was also not great. And the reason I forgot about my doctor's appointment was I'm not gonna get into why, but I just like started bawling my eyes out. My best friend is in Germany and I remember I texted her at like close to midnight her time, but of course she is my best friend and she just miraculously was still awake, told me to call her, and I basically bawled my eyes out to her for about an hour. And in doing so, I forgot about my appointment, which is just wonderful. Okay, hopefully I have some positive things to say. I guess I really like how this spread turned out. This is when I did a new release and I didn't have much of a to-do list, just a few things at the beginning of the day. So what I ended up doing was little check-ins throughout the day. And I used the little emoji sticky note flags for the timestamps. And I was starting to get really stressed because I had to leave for Chicago very soon. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot this happened too. I think last fall, we had to call the ambulance for my dad, and it happened again on April 26th. I had ran back from the gym. I was packing my suitcase for Chicago, and I got a call from my mom. And again, this time I was upstairs. My phone was charging downstairs, but my Fitbit gave me like a notification that my mom was calling. And I'm gonna be honest, for a split second, I was really annoyed because I was like, I do not want to go all the way downstairs to pick up a call. But I'm so glad I did because she was telling me to call an ambulance for my dad. Anyways, long story short, things turned out okay, but it was definitely a stressful day, and it just makes me so sad to actually see my parents aging, you know, especially because I moved out. Even though we're like super close still, I don't see them every day, and I don't know, thinking about it makes me sad. Anyways, 27th, I had a lot of things to pack, so much to do, and this is when I started my whole Dutch store thing, as always, for my travel spreads. This time I did something a little bit different. As you can see, I actually made little tabs for each of the days, although I actually mixed up the dates. I thought that I would be coming back to Vancouver on May 3rd, but it was actually May 4th. And I only realized this after I got to Chicago. So initially it was just these 3 tabs. And then after I got to Chicago, I realized my error and I actually did a makeshift tab while I was on the go. So that is why I don't have the corner of this rounded just yet. And this doesn't really match the other ones. But anyways, 28th, I left for Chicago. This was my plane ticket, and all I remember was just being very carsick. I am terrible with motion sickness. I always take gravel, and I always have gravel in my backpack and purse, but I don't know, I feel like when I don't take it, I definitely get car sick, but when I do take it, I still get car sick. It's just not as bad. So yeah, there's that. The 29th, oh yeah, so I have the vellum as the patterned tab for the front, but then on the back I have the little date thingy that I cut out. I know it's like super confusing and like over-engineered. I definitely have a few things I would tweak about this. Like for example, I would turn this header this way so it's not like upside down when I view it like this. So I think the next time I travel and I do something similar like this, I will film it for you guys. I just didn't do it this time because I fully winged it and I didn't really have a plan. Anyways, this trip was a little bit stressful because I had the subscription renewals on the 30th and then the subscription enrollments on the 1st while I was attending the Chicago pen show and trying to spend time with my boyfriend. So yeah, it was a lot, but I was able to get things done, so that was good. I did some journaling at a coffee shop. We took a little stroll. Of course, always stop by Trader Joe's. The 30th was the first day of the pen show, and I ended up buying my first vintage fountain pen, which is the Parker 51, and I will show you the haul in a bit. This is the May title page, and I actually took up the sticker and I shifted it here for the tab. May 1st was the second day. I just did kind of like an outline of what happened. I didn't really have time to journal until the evening. May 2nd, we went to the Art Institute, had dinner at Havana, and oh my gosh, I was so excited. We had Magnolia Bakery for the first time. Actually, he had it before, but it was my first time having banana pudding, and it was something that I've always wanted to try, and it was really, really good. We also got levain cookies. This was, I mean, it was good, but I don't know if it was the best decision because I try to avoid sugar and gluten as much as possible now because it really flares up my skin condition, but I really did want to try banana pudding. May 3rd, we had a little brunch, which was really good. And for dinner, this was my last full day in Chicago, so we ended up making a salmon dinner at home. So that was very good. May 4th was when I flew back, and I wrote all of this before my flight. It was just basically a recap of my trip. I had a really good time and I had a lot of things to do, so I also made like a to-do list of everything that I want to do as soon as I got back. This is when I did the sneak peek and announcement of the new spring washi tapes, and this was also my first time swatching because these washi tapes arrived at our office while I was away, and it was like torture, just like waiting to come back home. I also like this little sprout I added. I think that's really cute. Oh my goodness, this is May. I shouldn't even be talking about this. Okay, that is all you get. Whoopsies. Okay, let's move on to the back pages. Product empties. I think I added 4 things, I don't know. So I finished the Nature Nuts Nut and Seed Butter. This was really good. The Tower 28 facial spray. I quote-unquote finished Tombow 076. Technically, the marker still works, but it is just so frayed that I can't really do anything precise with it. It is also like really dried out, so I do need to get a replacement. I also finished my little container of Old Bay seasoning. And to be fair, or rather to be honest, I accidentally dumped out like a quarter of the container because I shook the thingy too hard and the cap fell out. So yeah, I did waste about a quarter of the container. I haven't shown the things I forgot to journal about page in quite a while, and that is just because I didn't have any new entries until the gist of this story is I was running. I was doing my trail run and there was a lady walking towards me and she pointed up at the trees, and I took off my headphones and we basically just had a nice conversation about the birds in the tree, how the park has changed, stuff like that. It was just really nice. Obviously, like stopping for 10 minutes during my run affects my pace and just like the overall quality of my run. But things like this I feel like are just so special and worth stopping for. And in the end, I introduced myself and she introduced herself back. So yeah, this was my little doodle of her. This last portion will be my Chicago pen show haul. I am not gonna do swatches of these again just because honestly I'm getting a little bit tired. So hopefully it's okay that I just tell you about it and show you the swatches that I already did. I have been to several stationery events before, but this is my first like legitimate fountain pen show where it's a lot of like very knowledgeable people getting together, a very heavy presence of vintage fountain pens, which I have not gotten into until now. And I was honestly a little bit intimidated, but everyone was just super nice. I didn't plan on buying anything, which evidently didn't work out, but rather I just wanted to go there for the experience, and I was able to meet some of you there. So yeah, thank you to everyone who came up and said hi. Anyways, I stopped by Amarillo Stationery, which I am good friends with Eric, and I always try to support him whenever I see him at one of the shows. So I have 2 inks from his booth. The first is a Sailor ink. This is Sailor in the color Cilantro. He also had an ink from Sailor called Refried Beans. I thought this was just such a fun series, and as you can see, it is just such a gorgeous green. So bright and saturated, and I feel like the name Cilantro is just spot on. I don't think I have anything in my collection like it, so really excited about this one. Then I have a Toasty Joggers, which is over here. So I have gotten a sample of Toasty Joggers from my friend Corolla, and I will say the sample is very different. It is a lot more yellow. Let me see if I can find it. So yes, Corolla gave me 2 samples, and as you can see, this Toasty Joggers is like a lot more orange. I don't know if it's like the different paper or something. I still really like this color, and I again don't have anything in my collection like this. Next up, I have this cute little bottle. This is my first Colorverse ink. This is the color Golden Leaves, which is a gorgeous yellow, and the special story behind this one is I kind of like tucked myself away in a corner in the middle of the pen show because I again had to manage the subscription enrollments, and I just like heard someone saying that looks like someone in a trench coat because I told everybody that I was wearing a trench coat if they wanted to find me. And it was Shelly who just like dropped off this little bottle of ink because she was like, I know you were looking for your perfect yellow and I picked this up for you. And she just like dropped it in my hand and quickly left because I think she saw that I was busy typing away and working on something. So yeah, anyways, I finally got to swatch it and it is just so beautiful. I was able to find her Instagram afterwards to properly thank her, but yeah, I was very touched by this, and I definitely want to check out more Colorverse inks. When I was in high school, I had a lot of Colorverse inks on my wish list, but I don't know why I just never bit the bullet and actually purchased a bottle for myself. Then I have this beautiful ink from Stationery Universe. This is in the color First Blossom, and I believe she hand did this like wax drip thingy. Such a beautiful cap and concept. She had a version of this ink that had a shimmer in it and a version without. Again, like all of the other ones, I don't have any ink in my collection that is this color. It is such a beautiful saturated purple, more on the reddish side than blue. I also ended up with 3 writing instruments, but to be fair, this is the only one that I purchased. This is a vintage Parker 51 fountain pen, and I think it is just like a classic vintage fountain pen, but what definitely drew my attention to this one was the barrel color. This is in the color Cocoa, which is a really pretty muted brown, but under some lighting it looks almost purple, kind of like a mauve-y blush color. It has the classic hooded nib, which I think looks super cool, and again, it is my first vintage fountain pen, so I think it is just a little bit more special. Then I have this matching set from Schaefer. This is a pencil and this is a fountain pen, and it is very special because my boyfriend found this at an estate sale. This is the Schaefer Snorkel model, and this is super cool because basically what you do is twist the end, and I don't know if you can see, but there is a tube coming out. And the idea is that you dip the tube inside your bottle of ink. You then pull this end part, which sucks up the ink, and then you twist the tube back in. And this way, the nib and grip section won't get stained with ink and you don't have to wipe it off. So I think that is like the story behind the Snorkel name as well. My boyfriend, I think, fixed up the nib and he also ground it down finer. But he brought it with him to the pen show to, I think, replace this black portion. So yeah, I actually didn't know that he bought this until the pen show, and he like brought it to get it fixed. So yeah, this is very special. And as a matching thing, this is also a mechanical pencil. I don't know if it's correct to call it a mechanical pencil, but you twist the end and the lead comes out. I think this is 0.9mm lead. So yes, this is super special for obvious reasons and super cool. I think it is from the 1960s, if I recall correctly. All right, that is it for my April planner update. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead and take care. Bye.